Senegal's President Diomaye Faye recently traveled to France to hold talks with Emmanuel Macron, hoping to restore normalized ties between their two countries. But let's be real, does this move feel normal to you, given the long history of harm France has caused across African nations? Could this be a dumb move, brushing off past wrongs from someone unlikely to change? Or is it a smart, calculated strategy to give Macron a chance to make things right? We are about to break it all down. What's up, beautiful people? I hope you're doing great. Thanks so much for clicking on this video and welcome back to Nana Report YouTube channel, your home of global updates on politics and other interesting stories. Stick around to the end and please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So, as I mentioned earlier, Senegal's President Diomaye Faye recently met with French President Emmanuel Macron for some key discussions. This visit came shortly after Senegal made a bold move, kicking French troops out of the country. When Faye took office, he and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko agreed that French forces will no longer be stationed in Senegal. A lot of people saw this as Faye following in the footsteps of Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore, especially since Faye had already been making headlines as a rising leader who refuses to be a puppet of the West. In one of his speeches, Faye openly criticized the presence of French troops in Senegal, pointing out that Senegalese soldiers don't have the same freedom to set up shop in France. Quoting his words, "As a French person, can you imagine seeing us in your country with tanks or military vehicles? Senegalese soldiers in Senegalese uniforms just like that, simply because historically France enslaved, colonized and remained there." For Faye, this was just too much. It was time for French troops to pack up and go home. France, of course, wasn't happy about it. Macron even fired back, accusing Africans of being ungrateful for all the help France provides. Here's what Macron said: "We had a secure relationship. In truth, it was of two kinds. One part was a commitment of fighting terrorism since 2013. We were right and I think they have forgotten to say thank you, but that's okay, it will come in time. I'm in a good position to understand that ingratitude is a disease that cannot be transmitted to humans. But I say this for all the African governments who have not had the courage in the eyes of public opinion to bear it. None of them will be in a sovereign country today if the French army had not been deployed in their regions. In Macron's mind, France has provided security for African nations for years, so they should stay forever grateful and never question his presence or his actions." Now, here is where it gets messy. Faye's decision to travel to France after all this has led some people to call him a sellout, saying he's basically proving Macron's point that African countries can't survive without France. To many observers, this feels like a deep embarrassment for Africa, especially for bold leaders like Ibrahim Traore, who continue to fight for true independence and refuse to bow to the West. So now the big question is Faye just playing mind games with the Senegalese people after vowing to drive France out completely? Or is he being clever, trying to rebuild a strategic relationship? If someone has wronged you in the past, should you really give them another chance and work with them again? Can you trust a former enemy enough to partner for progress? Or is it safer to stick with those who share your struggles and background? Adding to the debate is the question of why Faye didn't turn to Russia or China like Traore did. Well, one analyst thinks Faye's visit to France actually makes sense, and here is why. One of the main topics on the agenda was Faye's demand that France apologize for its actions against Senegal in 1944, a dark chapter in history when Senegalese soldiers were taken to France to fight German forces during World War II. These soldiers helped secure France's victory, but after the war, they were all wiped out so that French troops could claim the glory instead of black soldiers. Faye demanded not only a formal apology, but also the release of historical archives to reveal the full truth. Macron partially met these demands by sending a letter acknowledging that France's actions were indeed wrong. After reading the letter, Faye said, "Today I received a letter from President Macron in which he acknowledges that it was indeed a massacre. This crucial step of formally recognizing that it was indeed a massacre should unequivocally open the door to perfect and complete collaboration in fully uncovering the entire truth of the matter." That letter might explain why Faye felt Senegal could once again consider partnering with France. According to the analyst, Faye may actually be applying a classic rule of power, that it's sometimes smarter to trust a former enemy than a current friend, because a friend can betray you when you least expect it. From that perspective, Faye might see France as a more reliable partner precisely because of their rocky history, believing France will now try harder to make amends and do better. It's also worth noting that Senegal and France still share commercial ties, with both governments highlighting common goals like sustainable development, education, and healthcare. Senegal also maintains partnerships with other nations, including Turkey, which funds various projects, as well as Russia and China. So maybe Faye's plan isn't to cut France off entirely, but to diversify Senegal's alliances. In one of his speeches after agreeing to renewed cooperation with France, Faye said, "President Emmanuel Macron and I have mutually agreed to give significant momentum to the ongoing cooperation and partnership between our two respective countries. Without this ambition, we will not be able to achieve anything together. And this ambition can only be realized with the private sector." Should people really be angry at Faye, especially now that so many Pan-Africanists are calling him a sellout? Was this a smart move, trusting that France will finally do better? Or just a risky gamble on Macron's promises? Do you see Faye's visit as a betrayal to the bold leaders like Ibrahim Traore and other Pan-Africanists? Let me know your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates. See you in the next one.